We are here. We're going to talk about marketing, branding, and selling. My name is Danielle Martin. I'm the owner of Smart Solution Consulting. I also have created a digital brand called the Smart Business Consultant that you see the logo on. I did that specifically for this particular presentation since we are talking about the areas of marketing, branding, and selling. I have a degree in marketing. It's actually one of my first loves in business was really guiding and connecting people to understand more about their company, the value that their company can bring, and then how they can translate that to their customers or their clients. I've been in the consulting range for I would say at least since 2011 or since 2012. And I am happy to present this information to you all. If you have questions, please let's let this be interactive. You can pause and we can discuss so that this can be helpful to you within your company and within your organization. All right, so the first question is, what is marketing? Philip Kotler defines marketing as satisfying the needs and wants through an exchange process. So marketing is a really broad term. It is oftentimes just seen as, oh, I'm going to advertise and this is marketing. I'm going to create business cards and I'm working on marketing. But marketing is truly the understanding of what your company can bring as far as the problems that it solves for your customers, and then how you translate that to your customer, to your client. So all of those activities that happen in that exchange process is marketing. So marketing is what you say. It's how you say it when you want to explain how awesome your product is and why people should buy it. It's the action or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. So I really want to cue in on market research because the research component of your marketing is so critical to the success and the outcomes of said marketing. So you really want to always start with researching about the industry that you are in, researching the key points and the key industry trends that are happening within your industry, and making sure that your product and your services are in alignment with that, and also understanding and identifying the needs of your customers. Because the truth of the matter is, business exists because we're solving problems, right? So people are hungry, you grow food, and that is satisfying that need for people's hunger or their desire for food. All right, so speaking of research, one of the first things besides understanding your industry and understanding the trends that are happening is knowing who your target market is. So I often will ask the question to clients of mine. I say, well, do you know who your target market is? And a lot of times the answer that I get is everybody. And that is absolutely not correct. So if that's what you have in your mind, just completely throw that out and let's really hone in and understand how you can start to identify who your target market is. So by definition, a target market is a group of people that have been identified as the most likely potential customers for a product or service because of their shared characteristics such as age, income, and lifestyle. So I want to turn the question to you all and ask if you all have identified who your target market is for your company. It's so important because let's say that we are in the shooting range, right? And you have, like, when you go to the shooting range, you have a body and okay, in order for me to really get where I'm trying to go, I need to go for the heart. Typically, that's where when you're at the shooting range, there's a target there, and you have like a circle, and it's typically right there in the chest where the heart is, right? And it's there for a reason. And you have all of these other lines outside of that. When you're talking about your target market, you want to go directly for the kill shot. You want to get the people You want your marketing efforts, you want the money that you're going to spend on advertising, on promoting, the energy that you're going to spend with talking to people, going to events, networking. You want to know who these people are, where they are, how do they like to be communicated to. So I always like to give some key, some really good examples with two of my favorite places, Whole Foods and Chick-fil-A. So these particular companies have done a really good job with their marketing and the experience that they want their target customers to feel. Have you all been to Whole Foods or Chick-fil-A by hand? Let's talk about Whole Foods because it really, they have identified exactly who their target market is, and they've also created a brand and an experience for that particular type of person. So when you go in Whole Foods, what do you typically see when you go in, or how do you feel for anybody that's ever gone to Whole Foods? We said some key things: organic, health conscious, expensive. So typically Whole Foods is going to be in an area where the people in that area can afford to shop there. You most likely won't find a Whole Foods in a place which we would deem an underserved community, because Whole Foods has marketed itself and its products, the price, the way that you feel when you go in, they've marketed it and they have positioned it in such a way that they know that they're, even though those prices are high, their target market is going to go and they're going to shop in there pretty faithfully. Now, there will be some outliers, meaning when we talk about that target, right? You got the bullseye, so to speak, but then you have the circles that exist on the outside. And those are, in the sense of what we're talking about in marketing, those are people who may come in every now and again. That is not your target, and that is not who you want to spend your marketing dollars on. You want to spend their money on the individuals who are at your core. That's why it's most important. One, so that you don't expend energy and money unnecessarily, but this all comes through research. All right, so we're going to talk about the marketing mix. And the marketing mix, we're going to just focus on 4 Ps: product, promotion, price, and sale. So when we're just talking about Whole Foods, we talked about their products. We talked about their price. They have organic products. Their price is pretty expensive. Sometimes they do have sales and sometimes they have promotion, but these things, this mix of marketing is what creates this experience for your customers or your clients. So your products, and this is what oftentimes, sometimes when we're starting out in business, we don't know how to communicate these things in the most efficient way. But this is something that we can definitely work on. So the first thing is, your product is the tangible or intangible offering that a business provides to meet customer needs or wants. So again, we're still talking about customer needs or wants, because your customers, that target market, they're at the center of everything that you do. It's like you're aligning your customers and cohesively meshing them with the products and services that you have. So you have this perfect union. Then your price, the amount of money that your customers are willing to pay for a product or service. So this is oftentimes, when we talk about in business, we talk about this pain point, and it often comes in with price, because your customers or your clients are spending their money, right? Money is oftentimes a hard part for people to come out of their pocket and say, okay, now I'm willing to pay for XYZ. There's a mental process that happens when a person makes a purchase, because they've spent their time to create money, and then they have to take that money and then spend it in such a way that it brings value to them. So it's the amounts that they're willing to pay. So your price really has to be put at a good point where, one, your target market is willing to pay for it, and they understand the intrinsic as well as the perceived value that they're going to get in exchange for that. And also, as it pertains to with that research that we did with the industry, making sure that that price is in line with the industry standard. Sometimes we can be at an average, sometimes you may go a little bit below, and sometimes you may go above. When you go above, that means that the value or the perceived value of that particular product is much higher than it is at a lower price point. Okay. All right, so promotion. These are the channels and the locations which customers can access the product or the service. Now, later on in the slides, we're really going to hone in on how we can create this profile to understand where our customers are. But the key point in this is the location. Promotion is always critical. Location is always critical to promotion because let's say that we're promoting your farm service or your the products that you are deriving from your farming activities in a place where people don't really understand what value you're bringing, then if you're doing that, then the value of what you're trying to translate to them, they may or may not understand what it is that you're trying to translate to them. So location is always going to be extremely important, and identifying where your customers are, where your clients are, is critical to where you would promote. The next thing is the place. And this is the various tactics used to communicate the value of the product or service to the target market and persuade them to make a purchase. It includes advertising, public relations. I'm sorry, let's go back to place. So placement can also be, let's say that you have a product on a shelf inside of a store. The placement of that product, relative to where your customers are, is extremely important because let's say it's all the way at the bottom of the shelf. The chances that somebody might see that particular product will start to diminish versus if it's eye level or just above eye level. And all of these things, these activities are strategic. So you have where particular brands and particular companies actually pay more money to have a better place on a shelf, or those end caps when you come into the store and you see like an advertisement and you see an end cap. Most of the time, those companies have paid extra dollars for placement within a store, and it's so that people can have a little bit of shock value and say, oh, wow, I see that this is on sale, or I see that this has some, some fancy things around it. And now I'm going to stop and it has my attention. Okay. So the marketing mix includes advertising, the public relations, sales and promotion, personal selling, as well as your digital marketing efforts. So the process in which your customers or your clients are going to go through to make a purchase and to become a loyal client, first is awareness. So that's why it's important about the communication, understanding your company, understanding the products that you have, the services that you have. And this is something that comes with practice. You can practice with your friends, you can practice in the mirror, but the best practice comes from when you're actually in groups, networking, or going on prospecting calls, or going to meet individuals to talk about your company. It comes with that confidence that you build with being able to discuss what company you have, what products and services you offer, what is the value, and being able to translate that in such a way that people understand it and that they are ready to purchase because they've gone through these levels. So the first thing is awareness. And you want to think about, how can I make people aware that I have a company? How can I make people aware that I have a product, that I have value that I want to bring into the marketplace? Then there's the association. Association means, okay, I understand that this is here, and now how can I associate this with something, with myself? And if you notice now, this is why companies have spent so much money with uh, brand influencers on social media. Is because if somebody sees a person that looks like them or has a similar story to them, and they're purchasing products, the likelihood of people that identify with that influencer, now they've associated, oh, that person is like me. They have similar values as me. And so I want to purchase the product based upon association. How many times have you purchased a product or a service because somebody that you know and you trust told you about it? The association of that particular product or service is really critical to people and their purchasing process. The next is the attitude. When you all go to a Chick-fil-A, what attitude do you have when you go there? Like, how do you feel about Chick-fil-A when you go there? They've done an extremely good job at Chick-fil-A with persuading people's attitudes because of the way that they allow the experience for the customer to ensue when they come there. And it's pretty much, there are some anomalies. There's some stories I've heard about having bad customer service at Chick-fil-A like once or twice. But for the most part, whatever Chick-fil-A you go to, the food is going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
It tastes the same no matter where you go, so they're consistent. And the service, the quality of service that you get is around the board the same. Thank you. My pleasure. Anything else? Would you like more ketchup? Would you like this? Certain places that you go to, if you say, hey, can I have some extra sauce? Well, it's going to cost you 25 extra cents.
Right.
Versus them saying, okay, well, let me offer this to you. So the attitude and the culture that they've created so that when people understand their brand, they've done a really good job of creating that and curating it. You can do the same thing in your company as well. And then the last part is attachment. So then once you've gone through the awareness, the association, and the attitude, then the attachment that you have to that company is what creates loyalty. It's the attachment that you have. And then the next is action. So then the person would say, I am ready to purchase. I know I have this problem that I need solving. I need grocery. I need food. And then I see that there is a company or an organization that offers XYZ to solve or meet this problem, whether it's immediate or whether it's somewhere down the line. And we go through, we're sometimes unaware that we go through these processes ourselves, but we go through these processes every single time we make a purchase, whether it's instant or whether it takes a little bit longer. All right, so next is your branding. All right, so branding is a popular buzzword, but what it really means is what your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. That's pretty powerful, huh? I think so. So that's what Jeff Bezos said, and he's the CEO or former CEO of Amazon. Is your brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. And why is branding important? So we now have a greater control of our destinies when it comes to increased responsibility and competition. To get ahead, we must manage the impressions others have of us. With a strong brand, you can differentiate yourself from others and maximize your business potential. These days, the company, the brand itself, and then also the CEOs, the heads of the organization are almost interlocked with the experience and the understanding that people have of the brand. If you've noticed in recent headlines, there have been a lot of companies that have lost sales because the CEO came on and tweeted something brash or what people perceived as unnecessary, or maybe the values even that the CEO had didn't align with theirs. So they said, hey, you know what? I'm no longer going to shop at this place because I don't particularly align with the values that even the CEO has, not just the company, but the CEO. So a lot of times our brand is not just the company and the experience that we create, but it's also us. And especially as small business owners, oftentimes we are everything. We are the marketing department, we're the sales department, we're the back end, we're the front end, we're all of those things. So it's important for us to also understand who our customers are, understand the value that we want to bring to the market, but be very responsible with how we compete in the marketplace. So strong brands are powerful, they're authentic, they're consistent, they're visible, and they're valuable. So powerful, meaning that you have a good value and a strong impact that you're making in the marketplace. It's authentic. It's not that you're replicating or duplicating exactly what someone else has done. I always believe in not reinventing the wheel, but you always want to be authentic to who you are and authentic to the customers that target that base market is so critical and so important that you're authentic to those individuals because they're going to shop with you no matter what. So you always want to remain authentic for yourself and for those individuals. It's consistent. It's not that, like we talked about Chick-fil-A, it's not that you go to one place and it tastes one way one day, and then you go there again and it tastes, completely different another day. It's consistent. It's visible. So people know, okay, if I want to shop with so and so, then I know that I can go here. It's going to be consistent. I know where they are. I know they exist. And also valuable. And we've talked about that. So what is your current brand? You want to identify, we want to make sure that you have an identity, that you understand your attributes, your vision, your value, and also build trust. So you want to think and ask yourself, what makes your business unique? And we'll talk more about this in a unique selling proposition. What makes it special and what differentiates it from others? Think about your strengths. What are the best attributes? And this could be personally or this could be professionally. What are the best attributes that you have? If somebody were to ask you, okay, what is the best attribute that you have about yourself in this particular industry or your business in this industry, what would you say? Have you achieved any accomplishments? And then as far as it pertains to value, how does my uniqueness translate to value? What do people come to me for? And sometimes value could be in price. Sometimes value could be in speed. Am I faster? Is it better? Is it something different from my competition that translates to the value that a person is going to get from me? Do people trust me? That's also a big thing, I think, when it comes to this day and age, because there's so many competitors in the marketplace. Pretty much no matter what industry that you're in, there's more people that are doing more things. So value is extremely critical to success, because somebody could go and shop with someone else. They could become their loyal client, but it's about what is the value that people and your customers find in you. The next thing is your direction. What am I known for, and what do I want to be known for? All right, so now we're going to talk about strengthening your personal brand. Once again, we're going to talk about the target audience. It's so critical. It's going to come up so many times with that target audience. So it's best to really hone in and know those key characteristics of your target audience. Who's the attention that your brand is intending to speak to? Researching that target audience and knowing how they want to be talked to is really, 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 really important. So it's important to research and understand most attributes about them, because you could be speaking in such a way, whether subconsciously or consciously, that they're not receiving the message. Then the position, how is your current brand positioned for you to achieve your goals? And then once you identify those two things, what changes should you make in order to achieve your desired results? It's also important to get feedback. Is the perception of the perception of others consistent with the perception of yourself? So sometimes you want to talk to trusted colleagues and friends and families, groups like these, especially where you have professionals that have been in the industry for a long time. It's a good idea to get their professional opinion about your brand and the perception that sometimes we can think, oh, wow, I thought I did amazing that day, but maybe there are some key points that you want to hone in on, and having that trusted professional expertise is always a good idea. If you can use surveys, definitely do that with your customers. If you can, send out a quick survey, hey, I want to send you a survey, maybe you get 15% off or you get something back in exchange for your time, then that is always a really good thing to do, because it gives you valuable feedback on how you can get better. You want to review any past performance that you had, and then see, okay, is there any way for me to expand my value, expand the way that others are perceiving me, so that I can really be dominant in the marketplace. And you can also fill in your gaps with education. There's a wealth of education and information that's available, even at low cost, on the internet and in platforms such as these. Increasing your experience. A lot of times we're afraid to just get out there, but that is really the best way to know how to do something is to do it. You'll never know if you need to get better if you don't start it. You don't know where you're starting until you start. Building relationships. You say your network is your net worth, and it could not be more true. Definitely expand the level and the amount of relationships and the quality of the relationships that you have in the professional arena. One of the things that I always advise people that are starting out in business is to surround yourself with other people who are in business, because the conversation is going to be different. Trust me when I tell you, people that own businesses have a different knack in their brain. And it's not to say that anybody's better. It's just a matter of difference. And if business is something that you are truly dedicated and that you want to do, it's best to surround yourself with the individuals who are doing the same thing and on the same paths. Begin to act the part. So even though you may not be at the level that you want to be, you can always start with the end in mind, and that's becoming the part that you want to be. Even if you're a small business, maybe you have no customers, zero customers, show up like you have a million. Introduce yourself, speak the language, and always share your story. So you want to showcase your brand. We just talked about building influential relationships, get involved in cross-functional projects, use volunteering to strengthen or develop skills, take on leadership roles in relevant organizations. And if you don't have a website, definitely work on doing that too, even if it's on a small scale. Social media is also something you can take advantage of. There's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Choose your platforms wisely. Make sure that your target audience is in the platforms that you are utilizing. You can also use things like LinkedIn. There are micro blogging sites that you can be involved in, video and audio sites, YouTube, podcast, SlideShare. I mean, the amount of platforms that are available on the internet are limitless at this point. All right. So when you are online, you want to make sure that you have your own curated content, that you're engaging with your audience, and also that your offline presence is also very strong. So in marketing, I would suggest to have an online presence and an offline presence, and make sure that the two messages that are going out are the same and that they are consistent. So that is keeping your message consistent with your target audience. Okay. All right, so we're going to move into selling. All right, so selling is a huge part of being a business owner. If you're in the startup phase, chances are you are your own sales department. It doesn't feel like selling when you know who your audience is, you have identified how you want to be authentic in the marketplace, and then you attract those particular clients or customers that have the gap in what you're able to fill. And as long as you're building relationships, it really and providing information, to me, that's the part that it takes away the selling. And now you're just saying, hey, this is what I have, this is the products or the services that I can offer. And if we can align, then we're going to have this, we can make this purchase, you all can make the purchase, or we can build this relationship to where you're getting something from what I'm able to provide. We're going to go back again to the industry, though. The industry, knowing what problems are existing inside of your industry is really, 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 really critical. Understanding your target market and then your customers and clients. So I have these arrows that are kind of going back and forth because those things work interchangeably. Your product or your service is providing a solution to a problem in the marketplace. Your target market is already inside of that marketplace purchasing, but you have to know what problems or solutions even that they have with the way that they're currently purchasing. So I always like to talk about Uber and the taxi industry. People were getting taxis, they were pretty expensive. There were, companies that had dominated the industry for years, for decades, in the taxi service. And then Uber, Lyft, and rideshare came along, and it just completely knocked those taxi companies off of their off of what they had going for all that time. So the thing was, when the people who created these companies and these apps, they said, hey, well, we have a group of people that want to make extra money. You have customers and clients that have needs that are being met, but they have some gaps in the way that it's being met. And so now we're going to create this and solve a problem, which provides jobs and it provides more people to get from one place to the next without having to rely on taxi cab service. So then going into the customer client, your unique selling proposition, I put USP there. We're going to talk about that. Your USP is the essence, the unique selling proposition. I want you all to write that down if you already haven't, or if you don't know what it is. It's the essence of what makes your product or service better than your competitors. So again, going back to the industry, you want to know who your competitors are in the market. What are they doing well? What are they not doing well? How do people feel about the competitors that they're currently getting their product or service from? What you should definitely do and always have in your mind, have it written down somewhere on your desk, on front of your computer, wherever you go to often. Create a clear statement that explains the benefits of your product, how it solves your customers' problems, why it's different from the rest, and why customers should buy it. That's something that you should know. Right? That's something that you should definitely know, and it should be ingrained in the essence of your company and the essence of when you're talking to your potential customers or clients. So a lot of times people ask, well, how do I get to the point where I can create the unique selling proposition? How do I understand what customers, clients, or what customers or clients' problems are? So the first thing we want to do is create a target customer profile. So who or what is the company? Where are they? Like, are they online? Are they in the stores? Are they certain agencies? Where are they? Who are they? And then what are their key characteristics? What demographics? So when we talk about demographics, we're talking about age and income and the places that they live. And then from a psychographic standpoint, psycho meaning psychology, what type of characteristics do they have about themselves? Are they, you can think about political factors. Are they Republican? Are they Democrat? Are they independent? Do they care at all? Do they get up early on Saturday mornings? Do they like to sleep in? You want to know these key characteristics about who they are, because your messaging and your marketing will speak to those particular characteristics of the person or the entity. Then you want to think about what problems do they have. So you can look on Google, look at reviews, you can look under comments for particular industries or particular products. You literally can put in a hashtag now and do so much research that we didn't have access to before social media existed, just to understand what problems people are having in the marketplace. And they'll tell you, people don't mind talking about problems. Hey, well, I went to this place and the food wasn't good, or I went to this particular service provider and they were slow. I did this and this happened. So really understand what problems do they have, write it down so that you understand how you can be better and benefit from that problem. What problems exist, and then who or how are they currently getting the problem solved? Because like I said, business exists because we're solving problems, whether even if it's putting on makeup. Hey, I want to look prettier. I have an event to go to, so I'm putting on makeup. That is still solving a problem, even though it doesn't seem like it is a quote unquote problem. But what are the issues that people have? And sometimes people say, well, I don't think there are any issues. No, because people are still they're creating more and more products and people are buying them. I told my children the other day, we were having a conversation about business, and we'd start talking about, well, it seems like there's already a lot of people doing that. And I said, well, look at the bread aisle. Go to any grocery store, and how long is the bread aisle, y'all? I mean, you go from one end all the way to another end, and it's nothing but bread, right? So there are still people that are creating more and better ways to do things. There's a water company. Think about water. I mean, there's like, just when you think there's a brand that you've gotten accustomed to, somebody else comes out and say, well, no, y'all been drinking this kind of water and it's something wrong with that kind of water. So now you should drink this kind because we're doing this. Ours is coming from the Alpine, it's coming off of the Glacier Alps. It's more pure for you. It's better for your body. The water that you're drinking is contaminated. And here we are back on the train. So people are always, or companies are always finding problems and creating solutions and creating companies around those particular products. And then the strategy comes in with how do you reach those people? So once you've identified the profile and you can say, oh, I know this is who they are, this is where they exist, these are some key characteristics about them, these are the problems that they have in the industry, but these are also problems that they're still having with where they're currently getting their needs met. Now I can come in with my strategy to say, this is the way in. All right. So no matter where you are, how you're speaking to potential customers, this is your guide. You always want to smile, whether that's on the phone or whether it's in person. Let your first impression be a good one. Actively work and create a call list or an email list. You can make a list of individuals or companies that you'd like to contact, business cards that you've gotten from events. You can also check it off as you've made contact with those people and make notes after each conversation. Before going into a conversation, if at all possible, research who they are and how you can speak to them before you make contact. You can create and send personalized emails. Don't just use a generic email if at all possible. If you can, go the extra mile with any information that you've learned about them, interesting facts, names, all of those things. Even if you're on the phone, I've noticed that if I speak to somebody, I'm going to say their name. Hi, so and so. If I ask them a question, well, hi, Cindy, could you tell me such and such and such and such? Well, Cindy, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? Hey, David, when you're doing blah, 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 da, 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 this, and this. So when you say a person's name, it alerts them, but also research shows that people like to hear their name. So when you can smile and you can say a person's name, they're automatically, something in them probably is going to open up that was not open before. Ask them how they're doing. Don't just go straight into the kill shot of what you want out of the conversation. Know that you have value and know where the conversation is going, but also don't be afraid to build that relationship to break the ice for both parties. Know the industry you're targeting, know the potential customer, and know your own product. So we didn't talk a lot about knowing your own product or service, but really knowing what you have, what you can offer, writing it down, speaking it out loud will help you to be more confident so it doesn't feel painful to go out and talk to people. It doesn't feel uh, you know, like you're overexerting when you really, really know what your product is and how it can help people. You should be able to discuss your industry and your product or service well enough to convey your goods and why you're solving the industry related problems, but more importantly, the problem that your prospects have. The last part is to be prepared for opposition, because this is something I learned in insurance sales, you all. People will oppose. Sometimes, people just aren't ready to purchase. Maybe they have certain things going on. You never really know what's going on until you sit down with a person or it's time for them to make the purchase of what the opposition is. But what you can do beforehand is be prepared when a person says no. The more comfortable you are with knowing why their reasons for saying no may be, maybe they don't have enough money. Maybe the window of opportunity hasn't opened yet if it's a grant that you're going after. Whatever it is, you want to be prepared for opposition and knowing how you can overcome why they may be opposed to accepting your offer. And if you notice with marketing, it's not like it just happens once. It's happening all the time. And that's because in your customer's mind, the more they see it, the more likely they will purchase. You don't know how long that awareness, association, attitude, attachment, action takes. Some people, it takes a whole lot longer. Some people literally can go down it in a matter of seconds and make an impulse buy at a particular time. But marketing happens often and it happens consistently because the more people hear about your company, the more people hear about the products you have, the more they hear about the problems you can solve, there will be an opportunity where somebody's going to buy. So don't get or give up if the opportunity doesn't present itself immediately. And the bonus is always be prepared to close a deal. If a meeting goes well, have your prices, contracts, and any other documents that you need to close a deal. And like I said, that's something that I learned in the insurance agent as an insurance salesperson, was that if a meeting goes well, you don't want to be like, oh, well, wait a second, let me go back and do this, or let me go back and get this, because that can mean that the lead can go cold. There may be somebody else that's vying for the same opportunity, and you don't want those things to fall by the wayside of all the work that you put in just because you were not prepared to close. So ensure that you have everything that you need. If you're at a farmer's market, make sure you have multiple ways that people can pay for your product. If you are going after a particular grant, make sure you have all of your documents in an easy and accessible place so that you can be prepared when opportunity strikes. All right. So remember, preparation is key. Remain confident and stay the course.